So we are continuing from the last class where we have been discussing about Lord's return to Jagannath Puri from his South India tour. So we are continuing from the last class where we have been discussing about. So we have seen summary of first 100 verses last week. We discussed about how King Prataprudra approached Saurabhamatacharya and then requested for his blessings to have the darshan of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu. And in the whole process, we learned so many lessons. So very briefly, these are the lessons which we have seen. We will not go through in detail, but just we'll see the summary of those lessons. Though separation creates a pain, same separation from Krishna purifies the heart and increases our devotion. This we understand from King Pratapradra's contemplation, his feeling of separation from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Vaishnavas do pilgrimage to purify those places and reclaim the fallen conditioned souls. So it is not when King Pratapadra was inquiring from Sarvabhattacharya why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left Jagannath Puri, which is a holy place, and then he went to South India tour. So Sarvabhattacharya has explained him that the intention, purpose of or Vaishnavas pilgrimage to going to pilgrimages is to purify those places. It is not just to have a darshan and enjoy our presence, our stay in various holy places. Wherever we go, we may go to Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri, and so many other places. But the purpose is to purify those places and reclaim the fallen conditioned souls. And then we also seen whatever a bona fide spiritual master says, the disciple must follow. So these are the instructions we understand from Saurabhattacharya and King Pratapadra's discussion. So immediately he completely submitted to Saurabhattacharya and followed the authoritative instructions of his spiritual master, Saurabhattacharya. And also he exhibited that no independent behavior and no whimsical behavior for sadhaka is very, very important. Our purpose, our intention of attending these classes and reading various scriptures is not to just gain the knowledge, because we are not, our intention of our devotional service is not to be a jnani. We want to be a devotee. That develops within us only when we don't have any independent behavior separate from our spiritual master instructions, and we should not have any whimsical attitude behavior. Simply we need to follow the instructions of acharyas. Vahetukya Pratyata, king arranged a place for Lord without any precondition or expectation. Though he had a desire to have interview or audience of the Lord Chaitanya Prabhu, he never made it as a condition. When Saurabhattacharya asked him to arrange a place for Lord's stay during his when he returns from Jagannath Puri, so king has immediately arranged. He didn't put any conditions. He didn't ask for any demands to be fulfilled. He said, "Yes, my dear Gurudev, so I'll arrange a place." So this is how a devotee should be in our Krishna consciousness. And lesson 7, we understand that Lord accepts the recommendation of pure devotees. Saurabhattacharya requesting the Lord to stay in Kashi Mishra's place. Lord is independent. He don't have to stay a particular place. But when Saurabhattacharya requested the Lord to stay in the Gambhira, so in Jagannath Puri, those who visited Jagannath Puri, I'm sure have seen this place. So Lord Chaitanya Prabhu immediately accepted. So this gives a lesson to us that when we follow the instructions of pure devotees, they recommend to Lord to accept us. So always we must be following the instructions of pure devotees. So lesson 8, we seen that it is a duty of a devotee to remain submissive to other devotees and always hankering to fulfill their desires. So it is not to fulfill our own desires, our own, when we have some talents, the exhibiting of those talents is not to get a name and fame for us, but it is to serve other devotees and serve the Lord. Always remain submissive to other devotees and hanker to fulfill their desires for the pleasure of Krishna. Then we also seen that whatever positions we get while doing the devotional service, we must always be surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord. So we may get maybe getting so many byproducts like side benefits, like we may become senior leaders or occupying some important positions in our Krishna consciousness, yatra, chakra. But these positions, we must understand that it is only to serve the Lord. It is not to enjoy the name and fame. Always must be surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord. So we must engage all our riches in the service of the Lord. This we seen from the devotees, how they engaged all their riches. We seen in case of Bhavananda, father of Ramananda. So he has, he said, all my riches, everything, my wealth, everything is there, my Lord, for your service. So then, when one engages in everything in the service of the Lord, there is no need to take any sannyasa. So, complete renunciation means not to give up everything and go and sit in a forest or other remote places. But when we engage everything in the service of the Lord, that itself is a complete renunciation. So renunciation is completely engaging whatever we have, whatever sense objects we possess, whatever wealth we possess, everything in the service of the Lord. In that situation, there is no need to take any sannyasa or perform any specific austerities. Lesson 12, Maya can bewilder anyone even if he is directly in the association of the Lord. So one must not take things for granted. So we see in the case of Krishna Dasa, who was very, very closely associating with the Lord during his South India tour. Still, he fell down and Lord had to reclaim him from the clutches of Bhattacharys. So when Lord kept quiet all the way till he comes back from his South India tour, and once he is back to Jagannath Puri, he called Saurabh Bhattacharya and other devotees and told that this man is crazy. He is, even in my presence, he is getting distracted and attracted to other women. So this is a lesson for, very important lesson for sadhakas like us, that we, being engaged in materialistic activities every day and night, we must be very, very careful. Even we may say that, okay, I'm very senior devotee in practicing Krishna consciousness for last 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. I am a sannyasi, I am this, I am that. But always remember that Krishna Dasa's story, pastime, is very, very important lesson for us, that even the person who is directly in service of the Lord can get bewildered and may fall down. So this is a lesson for us. Not that we laugh at those who are falling down, but take a lesson from those incidents and then understand that Maya is very, very strong, and we have to be all the more careful. And one must not take things for granted. So then lesson 13, we understood spiritual master and devotees are very, very merciful, that they won't give up even when one falls down. So this we understand from Krishna Dasa's past story, that when Lord Chaitanya Prabhu, he is not interested to see him, not interested to speak to him, then Krishna Dasa was sent to Jagannath Puri by all the devotees, by Nityananda and other devotees. Though Lord, he doesn't want to see him, doesn't want to interact with him. So it is only the request of all the devotees, associates of the Lord. They requested him to Lord that they want to engage him in the service. Somehow they want to engage in the service. So when devotees recommend, as we seen in the previous lesson also, very, very merciful. Our devotees are very merciful, and even somebody is falling down also, they won't give up. They always make effort to reclaim the condition, the fallen condition soul. And devotees are more merciful than the Lord. This we see in And one cannot escape from the clutches of Maya without engaging in the service of the Lord. So this is exactly what Kalakishna Dasa has been was asked to do. He was made to engage in service and go and meet the devotees in Navadvipa and inform them about the return of the Lord Chaitanya Prabhu to Jagannath Puri. So when he was doing, he not only informing the devotees like Sachimata and Advaita Acharya, all these great personalities, he was personally going informing about the good news of Lord's return from South India tour, and he is currently available in Jagannath Puri. And he is also giving, distributing Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath to them, so that what happens here, they are accepting Mahaprasad and also receiving the good news from Kalakishna Dasa. They are blessing him. So when we take the blessings of senior devotees, when we commit any offenses, aparadas, so blessings of senior devotees will purify us. So we will escape from the clutches of Maya when we engage in the service of devotees. So these are the lessons we seen briefly. We just covered, and today we are going to discuss about next 20, 27, 20, 28, 29 slokas covering Swarup Damodara's arrival at Jagannath Puri. So let us start the session with glorifying Lord Chaitanya Prabhu. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we'll cover from verse 102 onwards. Just allow me to share the screen. So we start from verse 102. Aradine Aila Swarupa Damodara Prabhura Atyanta Marmi Rasera Sagara. Swarup Damodara also arrived the next day. He was a very intimate friend of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was an ocean of transcendental universe. So those who are not aware of Swarup Damodara's Leelas, he is one of the very closest associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Prabhupada explains in the purport that he knew exactly the heart of Lord Chaitanya. So Lord actually glorifies Swarup Damodara as a storehouse of all the devotional mellows. And it is Lord Chaitanya Prabhu given the name Damodara to him. So he was a Swarupa before, and Lord Chaitanya Prabhu made him Swarupa Damodara. So who is Swarup Damodara in his Krishna Leela, and he is in Golak Vrindavan? He is none other than Vishakha Sakhi. So just as Lalita and Vishakha are Srimati Radharani's dearest gopis, even here also in Lord Chaitanya Prabhu's pastime, there are two great personalities who are representing Lalita and Vishakha. So Swarup Damodara is Vishakha Sakhi and Ramananda Raya is Lalita Sakhi. They are Lord Chaitanya Prabhu's most confidential associates. So whatever actually we are reading, we are discussing Chaitanya Caritamrta, the great pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu. These are mercy of Swarup Damodara. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has used Swarup Damodara's karcha, means the whatever the notes he has prepared, Swarup Damodara is prepared during the whole life of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu, from his interactions or what Swarup Damodara he heard from other associates of the Lord. He made entire thing into notes, and Krishna Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrta, has used those notes and memories what Swarup Damodara has prepared to compile Chaitanya Charitamrta. So it is what we are reading is only the message of Swarup Damodara. So in verse 103, when Swarup Damodara was residing at Navadipa under shelter of Sri Chaitanya Prabhu, his name was Purushottam Acharya. So originally he was Purushottam Acharya before he took sannyasa. He took sannyasa from one of his guru sannyasi guru from Varanasi. And how he took the sannyasa? It is explained that Prabhura sannyasa dekhi unmatta hana sannyasa grahana kaila Varanasi giya. After seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's accepting order, Purushottam Acharya became like a madman. So he could not tolerate. So he could not tolerate separation from the Lord. And in that emotion, he went immediately to Varanasi and taken sannyasa. So his spiritual master, Chaitanyananda Bharati, from whom he is taken sannyasa in Varanasi, orders him. He gives instructions that read the Vedanta Sutra and teach to others. So this is the instruction what he got from his spiritual master. Parama Virakta Tenha Parama Pandita Kaya Mane Ashriyache Sri Krishna Charita. Swarup Damodara was a great renunciant as well as a great learned scholar. With heart and soul, he took shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So, if you see in this particular sloka, there are two most prominent words were used. Parama Virakta. He is not a Virakta. Virakta means renunciate. So, he is not just renouncing for the sake of renouncing. He is a Parama Virakta. He is extremely renunciate of all the materialistic activities. And he is a Parama Pandita. He is a great scholar. So he was very enthusiastic to worship Lord Krishna without any disturbance. Nischinte Krishna Bhajiba Eita Karane. Unmade Karilatena Sannyasa Grahane. He was very, very enthusiastic to worship Sri Krishna without any disturbance, and therefore, almost in madness, he accepted the sannyasa order. So that brings us to the next lesson. What we have been discussing. We already discussed the 15 lessons we understood from the previous 100 slokas. This brings us to the next 16th lesson. One must always be enthusiastic to follow the instructions of a spiritual master and worship the Lord without any disturbance. So this must be the mood of a devotee, a disciple. If we really want to advance Krishna consciousness, there is no other way than being very, very enthusiastic for what? To enjoy his material life? No. One must be enthusiastic to follow the instructions of a spiritual master and worship the Lord. So these are the instructions what his spiritual master Chaitanyananda Bharati has given to him. Read Vedanta Sutra and teach to others. So exactly he has been doing. He was very, very enthusiastic in worshipping Lord and spreading Krishna consciousness. In that mood, he accepted the sannyasa order. So in verse 108, Sannyasa karila sikha sutra tyaga rupa yoga patta na aila nama haila swarupa. Upon accepting sannyasa, Purushottam Acharya followed the regulative principles by giving up his tuft of hair and sacred thread. But he did not accept the saffron colored dress. Also, he did not accept the sannyasi title, but remained as a Naistika brahmachari. So Srila Prabhupada explains that Purushottam Acharya, who later became Swarup Damodar Goswami, he did not want to. The reason why he never accepted or he never wore the sannyasi dress, or nor he exhibited any physical appearances of sannyasi, because he did not want to get disturbed by the formality of sannyasa order. The purpose of his taking sannyasa is to completely get renounced and engage fully in the service of the Lord, not to show off not to show off that he is a sannyasi and is a great personality. Now, moment one takes a sannyasa, it is very custom in India that people start coming to the sannyasi and paying obeisances and offering respects. Then one gets name, fame, and all. Then they invite him for their houses for having prasad and accept the offerings. So he want to be away from all these distractions. So that's why he do not get disturbed with the formality of sannyas order. So therefore, with heart and soul, he took up the renounced order, but not the formalities accompanying it. So renunciation here, Prabhupada explains that not doing anything but serving Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So when one acts on this particular platform, trying to please Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is both a sannyasi and yogi. This is what Srila Prabhupada explains in the puppet. So this brings us to lesson 17, that real renunciation means not doing anything other than serving the Supreme Lord. So we have to be, we want to be in this platform. It is not necessary that we take sannyasa and give up all the family and go away and stay remotely in some places. But what Srila Prabhupada explains here is a real renunciation means not doing anything other than serving the Lord. So it doesn't mean that we don't do any activities. We do all the activities for the pleasure of the Lord, not our pleasure. So only one small change we need to do in our mood, that when we do these activities, it should not be for our pleasure, but it should be for the pleasure of Krishna. So then that is a real renunciation. So here Swarup Damodara, he did not care for all these external things like accepting a danda or shaving his head completely and wearing the sannyasi robes, saffron robes. All these things he didn't care at all. The same was the case of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to some extent. He retained the name Caitanya even after the sannyasa. So same here, Swarup Damodara also retained the name Swarupa. He didn't accept any or he didn't take any name after, he didn't change his name after taking sannyasa. So it is mentioned in Narada Pancharatra, very important and famous sloka we have, that aradito yadi hari tapasa tata kim na aradito yadi hari tapasa tata kim. It means that if one comes to the point of worshipping Lord Hari, what is the point of doing all these penances? Means like accepting sannyasa and performing so many austerities. If we are in the platform of worshipping Lord Hari, aradito yadi hari tapasa tata kim. So when we are worshipping the Lord Hari, what is the use of all these austerities and penances? Na aradito yadi hari tapasa tata kim. If we are not worshipping Supreme Personality of Godhead, then what is use of these penances? Same thing comes again. So if we are worshipping Supreme Personality of Godhead wholeheartedly, there is no need of taking any sannyasa, there is no need of performing any austerities. But if you are not worshipping Supreme Personality of Godhead, then what is the use of doing all this penance? So somebody is doing a penance but not worshipping Supreme Personality of Godhead, so there is no point. So same continues there, that antar bahir yadi hari tapasa tata kim na antar bahir yadi hari tapasa tata kim. Means if we are able to see Krishna within and without, within and outside of everything, then what is the need of doing all this penance? So we don't have to do any penance. If we are able to see Krishna everywhere, in every activity what we are doing, we are seeing Krishna, we are doing everything for the pleasure of Krishna, then there is no need of any austerities. If then it continues, na antar bahir yadi hari tapasa tata kim. If we are not come to the point of seeing Krishna everywhere, then what is the use of such penance? So when we when we perform this any of activities or penances just for the show off, saying, oh, I am doing Nirjala Ekadashi, Prabhu, I feel very, very tired. So exhibiting that I am performing, we want to make sure that others know that I am performing these austerities. So, and I'm doing Chaturmasya, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But what is the purpose? To get only recognition, name, fame. Oh, Prabhu is very nice devotee, he is performing all this. But we have not come to the point of seeing Krishna everywhere. We are seeing ourselves everywhere. We want our name, our fame to be glorified everywhere. So it is not for the pleasure of Krishna. Then what is the use of such penance? So that takes us to 109 sloka. Gurutani Agnamagi Aila Nila Chale Ratri Dine Krishna Prema Ananda Vihvale. After taking permission from Sannyasi Guru, Swarup Damodara went to Nilachala and accepted the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then all day and night, in ecstatic love of Krishna, he enjoyed the transcendental mellows in the loving service of the Lord. So that brings to another important lesson for us. Without Guru's permission, one should not take any important decisions in life. Whatever decisions we take which might affect our Krishna consciousness, our spiritual life, our sadhana, must be with the Guru's permission. As we see here, that Swarup Damodara, before going to Nilachala, before going to Jagannath Puri, he took permission from his sannyasi Guru, and then he went and engaged in the service of Krishna. What he didn't go and simply roaming around in Jagannath Puri and eating prasad of Lord Jagannath. What he did, all the day and night, in ecstatic love of Krishna, he enjoyed transcendental mellows in the loving service of the Lord. So he was engaged in the service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu throughout his presence, his stay in Jagannath Puri. So, and he was serving the Lord. So he was actually great scholar. In verse 110. Swarup Damodara was limit of all learned scholarship. Pandityera avadhi, vakya nahi karo sani, nirjane rahaye lokasabha nahi jani. So he is extreme. He is extreme scholar. In the sense, there is no limit for his scholarship. He is so much of learned. He is a pandita, great pandita, but he did not exchange words with anyone. He is not speaking to anyone. The purpose of our knowledge, whatever we have, is not to engage in the debates with others to prove that I know something. That should not be the purpose. The purpose of our acquiring the knowledge should be to distribute this Krishna consciousness, to distribute this knowledge to others, not to engage in the mundane debates with the intention of we do not become Digvijay Pandit, as we've seen in the previous chapter. That is not our intention. So here Swarup Damodara is exhibiting this quality that he always remained silent. He simply remained in the solitary place and no one could understand where he was, what he was doing. So he was always aloof from all the materialistic people and Prajalpa. That brings us to three most important lessons. One lesson number 19 is one should be free from all the materialistic desires. So whatever we possess is for the service of the Lord. We may possess some great skills, talents, we may be a great actor. We are participating in some great dramas and conveying beautiful messages. It is not to show others that I'm a great actor. It is to show others that all these talents must be utilized in the service of the Lord. It is only for the service of the Lord. So one should not be attached to any of the materialistic opulences and free from all material desires. And lesson 20, one should not pay too much attention to exhibiting the skills what we possess to others. Otherwise, one develops the pride. So he is a great scholar. Swarup Damodara is a great scholar, but he never exhibited. He kept quiet. He was using this scholarship, whatever scholarly quality what he possessed, only in spreading Krishna consciousness to make others into a devotee. And lesson 21, it is mentioned that everything what we possess must be should not be for self-centered. The 8 things what scripture says: body, wife, children, house, vehicles, wealth, fame, career, or anything which makes us self-centered. These 8 things must be used only in the service of the Lord. Otherwise, we become bound to material entanglement. So that brings us to verse 111. कृष्ण रस तत्ववेत्ता देह प्रेम रूपा साक्षात महाप्रभुरा द्वितीय स्वरूपा. So we understand the real personality of Swarup Damodara in this verse. Very, very important. Sakshat Mahaprabhura Dvitiya Swarupa. Even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considers him Swarup Damodara as his own expansion. Swarup Damodara was a personification of ecstatic love, as Sri Prabhupada explains in the translation. He is a personification of ecstatic love, fully cognizant of the transcendental mellows in relationship with Krishna. He directly represented Sri Chaitanya Prabhu as his second expansion. So that is Sarvamacharya. So that is why he could narrate, he could write notes of all the transcendental activities of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu, and that has become a main source for us to have this Chaitanya Charitamrta. In verse 112, ग्रंथ श्लोक गीता कहे प्रभु पासे आने स्वरूप परीक्षा काइले पाचे प्रभु सुने. If someone wrote a book or composed verses and songs and wanted to recite them before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodara would first examine them and then correctly present them. Only then would Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agree to listen. So where we should not think that, suppose we possess some skills or some talents, we should not think that, oh, whatever I know is true. Everything is my own talent. We are completely full of lot of anarthas. So as we see here, there are so many great personalities. They wrote so many books, poems, and songs glorifying Lord Krishna. They wanted Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear them, but Lord Chaitanya Prabhu always says, first go to Swarup Damodara, let him clear, you get passed through Swarup Damodara, and once he clears, then I will listen. So he used to correct wherever the mistakes the devotees are making. And in verse 113, we see this. Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha Ara Rasa Bhasa Sunire Nahaya Prabhura Chittera Ullasa. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has never pleased to hear books or verses opposed to conclusive statements of devotional service. So why it is being passed through Sarvamacharya, through Swarup Damodara here? Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he never want to hear Rasabhasa or overlapping transcendental bellows, or even which is the statements which are inconclusive. Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha, the basic principles of devotional service, anything which is against the basic principles of bhakti, and rasabhasa. What is rasabhasa? Rasabhasa, Prabhupada explains that it is a transcendental mellow externally, but actually it is not. Means it is only a kind of a show off. We are literally tears falling from our eyes and hair standing on our body. So these are all external symptoms of a transcendental ecstasy. But sometimes people do with to show off, to create an artificial feeling that to exhibit artificial feeling that we are in that particular platform. So these are called rasabhasa, which Chaitanya Prabhu never agrees or never listens. Means we are somebody is glorifying the pastimes of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani, but internally they are completely materialistic people. So such things are which Lord Chaitanya Prabhu never agrees to even listen. So these misconceptions, Prabhupada says that are parallel to Mayavadi philosophy. That one having Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha, anything we are writing or glorifying which is the basic against the basic principles of bhakti. These are, Srila Prabhupada says, they are all parallel, practically parallel to Mayavadi philosophy. If one indulges in Mayavadi philosophy, he gradually falls down from the platform of devotion service. So Prabhupada says that by these overlapping mellows, rasabhasa, one eventually becomes a prakrita sahajiya. So one thinks himself as a gopi and thinks himself as Srimad Radharani and engage in all this rasa dance and all these activities with others. So eventually he will go to that stage. So that's why Chaitanya Prabhu therefore advises to avoid bhakti siddhanta viruddha and rasabhasa. In this way, the devotee can remain pure and free from fall downs. That's why he ensured that everything must be go through the Sarup Damodara, so that he will verify, he will check, and he will confirm everything is perfect. This brings us to lesson 22, that everyone in bhakti should remain aloof from bhakti siddhanta viruddha and rasabhasa, so that one will not fall down. So in verse 114, it was a practice, the practice of Sarup Damodara Goswami to examine all literatures to find out whether their conclusions were correct. Only then would he allow them to be heard by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is what even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur always says, that if something impedes the execution of devotional service, something which is against devotional service, it should be understood to be impure. So we cannot concoct anything out of our own understanding, which is not as per the Shastra, which is not as per the instructions of Acharyas. So that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says they're all impure. Pure devotees of the Lord do not accept any impure principles. Everything must be as per the scriptures and as per what Acharyas say. So Prabhupada says that those who adopt the conclusions of Rasabhasa and Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha are never accepted as devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I remember when I wrote the book Easy Journey to Golaka, and when I sent to my spiritual master for his approval, he took a long time. He took so many days and weeks, and it took maybe a few months to get approval. I was getting kind of frustrated. What is happening? Why Guru Maharaj is not? So behind the scene, I was not aware that he sent the whole book to his very close associates, disciples, and asked them to verify, is there any Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha or Rasabhasa? Exactly this what Chaitanya Prabhu was doing, using Sarup Damodara. The spiritual master also did this. It took long time, and finally he sent email saying, yes, everything is fine. Now I'm blessing the book to proceed and you publish the book. So this is how we should always carry the mood that we should never practice any Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha, or we should never preach, we should never practice, because when we practicing, the devotees whom we are mentoring, they will also start following all these things. Sarup Damodara Goswami never approved such followers as the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, nor did he allow them even to meet Supreme Lord, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So verse 115, Vidyapati Chandi Dasa Sri Gita Govinda Eitena Gite Karana Prabhura Ananda. Srila Sarup Damodara used to read the poems of Vidyapati and Chandidasa and Jayadeva Goswami's Sri Gita Govinda. He used to make Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very happy by singing these songs. So Vidyapati was a very wonderful devotee. He was actually devotee of Lord Shiva. He wrote so many songs depicting the loving transcendental activities between Radha and Krishna, and he followed a tradition of Vaishnava love poetry, which is popular in Eastern India. So very long pastime story we have about Vidyapati. Since time is very short, I'll not go through the whole thing, but one small incident which I would like to share. Because he was a great worshipper of Lord Shiva, even then he wrote so many poems, so many songs glorifying rasa dance of Radha and Krishna. Lord Shiva was so happy with his service, he became his servant and he started serving him in his house personally. And he told Vidyapati that I'll be serving you in your house, but you should never tell this to anybody that I am Shiva. So initially, Vidyapati was not ready to accept the service of Lord Shiva, but he insisted that I want to come and I want to serve you. So he was serving Vidyapati for so many months and years. He didn't tell anybody, but one day Vidyapati's wife was for some reason she was very angry with the servant. She started beating the servant. Then Vidyapati could not tolerate. He said, "Oh, what are you doing? What is nonsense you're doing? He is the Lord Shiva himself." The moment when he revealed, and Lord Shiva disappeared from there, and he went back. This is a very long story. I will not go into that. But this is Vidyapati, and he was so famous in his songs. He's composed so many beautiful songs. And Lord Chaitanya Prabhu was hearing about this song. That is the point what we are discussing. Swarup Damodara used to read the poems of Vidyapati and Chandidasa. Chandidasa also, he is a great scholar, poet. He wrote about more than 400 songs about Radha and Krishna. But also a very long story, we will not go into that. And finally, they were discussing about Jayadeva's Gita Govinda. We all know, many of us, we heard, we discussed, we read about Gita Govinda. It basically describes the relationship between Srimad Radharani, Gopis and Krishna of the Rasa dance and various activities. So that was the pastime which is happening between Lord Chaitanya Prabhu and Swarup Damodara here. Verse 116. Swarup Damodara was expert musician as Gandharvas, and in scriptural discussions, he was just like a Brihaspati, the priest of heavenly gods. Therefore, it is to be concluded that there was no great personality quite like Swarup Damodara. So, Swarup Damodara is a great personality, and he wrote even a book of music called Sangeeta Damodara, and he wrote so many books and so many songs, and he's a great personality, and he was very close associate of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu. And in this sloka, we see that he was compared to Brihaspati, such a scholarly knowledge he was possessing. And in verse 117, Advaita Nityanandera Parama Priyatama Shivasadi Bhakta Ganera Haya Prana Sama. Swarup Damodara was very dear to Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu. And he was the life and soul of all the devotees headed by Srivasa Thakura. So he was very close associate and very dear to great personalities like Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu. They are all liking him so much, and he was life and soul of all the devotees headed by Srivasa Thakura. Verse 118. When Swarup Damodara came to Jagannath Puri, he fell flat before the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu, offering him obeisances and reciting a verse. So now whatever we heard so far is to understand who is Swarup Damodara, how great personality he is, so that we understand, we are going to understand his pastimes, his activities with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Once we understand the nature of a particular person, then we know what kind of activities he is going to do with the Lord. Verse 119. This is the verse which is recited by Swarup Damodara when he meets. This is taken from Caitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. Prabhupada mentions here. So this sloka is a very nice, beautiful sloka. Hilodunita khedaya vishadaya pronmilad amodaya shyamat shastra vivadaya rasataya चित्तार्पितोन्मादया शाश्वत भक्ति विनोदया समदया माधुर्य मर्यादया श्री चैतन्य दया निधे तव दया भूयात अमंदोदया. O ocean of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy. which easily drives away all kinds of material lamentation by making everything pure and blissful. Indeed, your mercy awakens transcendental bliss and covers all material past pleasures. By your auspicious mercy, quarrels and disagreements arising among different scriptures are vanquished. Your auspicious mercy pours forth transcendental mellows and thus causes the heart to jubilate. Your mercy, which is full of joy, always stimulates devotional service and glorify conjugal love of God. May transcendental bliss be awakened within my heart by your causeless mercy. So this is a very, very important verse. It is actually worth by hearting this sloka for all the practitioners of bhakti. This is taken from Caitanya Chandrodaya Nataka, written by Kavi Karnapura, which describes the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. It specifically describes Lord's causeless mercy. So Srila Prabhupada explains very long, beautiful purport. We'll just read one part of this purport. In the beginning, a conditioned soul is bereft of Krishna consciousness and always morose in his materialist activities. Later, by associating with the pure devotee, one becomes inquisitive to know the absolute truth. So this is the importance of our bhakti, progressing your bhakti. The secret is only by associating with the pure devotees. Only one can become a pure devotee and understand the absolute truth. In this way, one begins to engage in the transcendental service of the Lord. So the basic, our sadhu sangha is most important. Shraddha and sadhu sangha. Once we have sadhu sangha, rest all, it is like we are taken into elevator, and from there we don't have to do anything. Everything happens by the association of sadhus. All the by grace of the Lord and the devotees, all misconceptions are vanquished, and the heart is cleansed of all the material dirt. It is only then the pleasure of transcendental bliss is awakened. By the Lord's mercy, one is completely convinced of the value of devotional service. When one can see the pastimes of Lord everywhere, he is firmly situated in transcendental bliss. Such devotees relieved of all the kinds of material desires. So this is very important aspect which required for all the devotees to understand. Sri Chaitanya Prabhu raised Swarup Damodara to his feet and embraced him. They both become ecstatic in love and fell unconscious. Then verse 121. After they regained their patience, Sri Chaitanya Prabhu began to speak. They started discussing both Swarup Damodara and Chaitanya Prabhu. In verse 122, we see here that Tumiye asibe aji swapne te dekhila bhala nahaila andha ena dui netra paila. Sri Chaitanya Prabhu said, I saw in a dream that you are coming, and so this is very, very auspicious. I have been like a blind man, but your coming here restores my vision. So who is talking to whom? If somebody hears this, think that somebody is talking to the spiritual master or the Lord. No, here the Lord is speaking to Swarup Damodara. So we understand from this what a great personality he is, Swarup Damodara. That's the reason we try to understand the qualities and nature of Swarup Damodara, so that now we understand why Lord Chaitanya Prabhu is saying this. That I seen you in the dream. I saw you in a dream that you are coming. So I have been waiting for this. So indirectly, he is taunting Swarup Damodara that why you are not coming to me all these days, where you have been. Then Swarup Damodara feels very ashamed. He says, Swarupa kahe Prabhu mora kshama aparadha toma chadi anyatra jenu karinu pramada. Swarupa said, my dear Lord, please excuse my offense. I gave up your company to go elsewhere, and that was a great mistake. So this is a lesson again for us that when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, we should never give up the practice of bhakti. Come what may, in our life may have so many problems in our official, personal life, but one should never give up chanting, one should never give up bhakti, one should never give up the association of devotees. So this is a message what we get from this. So Lord Swarup Damodara is begging forgiveness from the Lord. Tomara charane mora nahi prema lesa. Toma chadi papi muni genu anya desha. My dear Lord, I do not possess even a trace of your love for your devotion, your lotus feet. If I did, how could I have gone to another country? I am therefore the most sinful man. So this must be the mood. When we commit any offense, mistake, we should fall on the feet of the devotees and beg for forgiveness. That though Saru Damodara, he has not actually done any mistake. He has been practicing, he has been spreading Krishna consciousness elsewhere, but he is exhibiting quality, how the quality of humility, how a devotee should be. This is a lesson for us, not that Sarup Damodar is a fallen conditioned soul. He's really done a great mistake. No, that is a quality which he is, or author is expecting us to practice and exhibit. So then in verse 125, Munitoma Chadila, Tumi Morena Chadila, Kripa Pasa Gale Bandhi Charane Anila. I gave up your company, but you did not give me up. By your rope of mercy, you have bound me by the neck and brought me back to your lotus feet. So this was again our mood, that always we remain in the service of the Lord and not to deviate from the path which is given by our acharyas. In verse 126, Swarup Damodara then worshipped the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu in turn embraced him in ecstasy of love. After worshipping Nityananda Prabhu, Swarup Damodara met Jagadananda, Mukunda, Shankara, and Sarvabhauma as was befitting. In verse 128, Swarup Damodara also offered his worshipful prayers at the lotus feet of Paramananda Puri, who in return embraced him in ecstatic love. So we have seen in the previous class who is Paramananda Puri and Bhavananda, all these great personalities come and they meet Lord Chaitanya Prabhu. So Paramananda Puri was given a room by Lord Chaitanya Prabhu in the same place, and he has also given a servant, as we seen in the last class. Swarup Damodara met Paramananda Puri and offered prayers to him, and who in turn embraced him in great love. In verse 129, Sri Chaitanya Prabhu then gave Swarup Damodara residence in the solitary place and ordered a servant to serve him with a supply of water and other necessities. So this is verse 129. So from verse 130 onwards, there's another section will start. So we'll try to cover from one section of verse 130 onwards till verse 190 in the coming session and conclude this chapter, so that we can start from 1st March as we originally planned. We'll start a wonderful topic which we have been waiting for, the Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sanatana Goswami. So request all of you to be patiently attend this great discussion. It is, I say, it is so ecstatic pastime. It is, philosophy is there, but the philosophy hidden in the wonderful pastime, wonderful story, which is we are going to start discussing from 1st March onwards. Maybe it may take 5 or 6 or 7 weeks continuously, and then we'll come back to chapter 11 once we finish that. Hare Krishna. So we end the session here. If you have any questions, comments, you can discuss for a few minutes before we conclude. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, devotees?